Hi everyone, welcome to first episode of Shutter Stories Uncensored. I'm Marc, your host, and this channel is going to be about my photojournalism career. The good, the bad, the ugly, the horror. Um, I covered a lot of stories over the years. Um, have some fun stories, some funny stories, some serious stories, and definitely some horror stories. Uh, Part of my job as a photojournalist, I had to carry a scanner, so I would cover spot news, wrecks, um, fires, shootings, stabbings, all the above. And I covered a lot of fatal auto accidents and homicides and all that. But there was, a balance, kind of, sort of. When I talk about stories going forward, I'm going to tell you some fun stories and share some horror as well. Um, I love that career. I worked hard to get into that career, and I worked for a lot of newspapers in the California Central Valley. The first paper I'm going to start with my stories from in my second episode will be from the Series Courier and some of the staff there that I work with over the years. And then I'm going to tell all the stories I can from that newspaper, and then I'll go on to the next paper when I left or where I went to from there. And the last thing I'll get to down the road in a few years, maybe longer, will be what I did after photojournalism. I got into being the event photographer for the Stratosphere Hotel and Casino and Tower. That was a lot of fun. I did that for 4 years while I worked there doing other work for them. But I'll talk about those towards the end as well. Now, as we move forward, uh, feel free to ask me questions in the comments. I will answer all questions. I'll respond to any comments I get during this process of sharing these stories. I won a lot of awards as a photographer and a few as a photojournalist. And I'm really proud of what I did. And then I got into fine art photography. I'm still working on that off and on. Trying to get back into a gallery again. Years ago, I was in a gallery here in Las Vegas. That's where I live now, Las Vegas, Nevada. But during the time I was working as a photojournalist, I lived in Ceres, California, Modesto, California, Turlock, California, Los Banos, California. I will talk about probably one of the worst things I've done as a photojournalist. It was a Saturday morning at the Los Banos Enterprise. Just got in around 8 a.m. and was working on some stuff around uh, photo lab and in the newsroom as I planned my day, and a scanner call came in. It was a bad wreck, a rollover wreck on I-5 freeway. So I grabbed my gear, got in my car, and headed that way. Yeah, so I made my way down towards the I-5 freeway. Took me about 20 minutes to get there. Once I got there, I saw that the fire equipment was rolling up. The highway patrol was already there and waiting on the ambulances to get there. So I parked my car behind one of the fire trucks on the side of the freeway, grabbed my gear, headed down, and saw that the car had rolled off the freeway and down to a field below the freeway, and had landed back on its wheels, but it was pointing the opposite direction that it was originally. It was headed southbound on I-5, but it was now facing northbound down in the field at the bottom of the freeway. So I went with the firefighters, worked my way down the side of the embankment, got to the ground. I saw that there was a chain link fence. The vehicle had rolled through the fence, broke the fence. So I followed the firefighters through that opening they had created and grabbed my camera, started taking photos as they were talking with the um, driver of the car. There was two passengers in the car. It was a female driver and a female passenger. They didn't look that old, maybe in their teens. I didn't know at the time. Um, and while they were trying to check on the driver, she was really out of it. She probably was in shock. Maybe had some injuries, probably. She kept asking, how are her two friends? And we was kind of shocked because there was only one other person in the car. There was no, it would have meant two other people, would have meant three people in the car. We saw only two. Those were in the front seats. So everyone started looking around. We couldn't see any person on the ground or anywhere nearby. And then when the paramedics saw some fingers sticking out of the dirt, and the field the car had landed in, stopped in, had been, looks like it was disc out the weeds, maybe a few weeks prior to the wreck, and dirt was really soft. So it looks like she had been ejected from the car, landed in the field. When the car rolled over her, it planted her under the dirt. So that was the same spot where we walked into to get to the passenger or the driver's side of the car. We had to walk through that spot. So we were actually, all of us had walked on this poor girl that was deceased. Didn't know she was there because she was buried in the dirt. Once the paramedics got her out of the dirt, they put her on the backboard and took her up the top of the freeway. She was determined to be deceased at the time they found her, and they laid the backboard where she was laying on behind one of the fire engines, and they put a yellow tarp over her to cover her body. Man, that was. I still think about that today. I still have images of that in my head. It was the most horrific thing I ever did on the job. And I bet that driver still today blames herself for the wreck. And on Monday, uh, when the reporter was getting all the facts, I learned that the three girls had just graduated from Pleasanton High School the night before on Friday night. And Saturday morning, they got up early and they were going to Disneyland. They got as far as Los Banos on I-5. They determined that she probably fell asleep, the driver, and swerved off the freeway and rolled down the embankment. Both the driver and the front seat passenger were wearing seatbelts. The passenger in the back wasn't. And that probably explains how she got ejected from the car. And I don't want to, I don't want to really say much about that. I just believe in seatbelts. I always wear my seatbelt. I always have. Um, I learned long ago as a photojournalist, if you can stay in the vehicle in a bad wreck, more than not, you're going to survive it. Maybe not without any injuries. You're probably going to have injuries. Depends how bad the wreck is. But so please, when you're going forward, when you're out driving, please wear your seatbelt. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all. But that was horrific. Yeah, I didn't deal well with that for a long time from that incident. But I'm a was a photojournalist, and I need to do my job, so I needed to capture images for the paper. So I went to a lot of fatal auto accidents, a lot of car wrecks, a lot of structure fires, a lot of shootings, a lot of stabbings, homicides. It's just the dark side of the job. And in the humor in the newsroom is what they call gallows humor. It's how we deal with it, I guess. But going forward, I will tell some of the fun stuff, some of the things I've done as a photojournalist, um, and then I'm going to share a couple of the dark stories as well. But I'm going to try to keep a balance to it going forward. Um, so again, if there's anything you want to ask me, any questions, any comments, please leave them because I will answer them. I will respond to anything and every comment posted. Um, but as we're trying to grow this channel, this is the first episode. So please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. That way you're going to get notified every time I post a new episode. And right now, I'll be posting new episodes every Thursday. I know it's kind of a weird day in the week, but that's the day I decided to post them. That's the day I decided to post this video and how I'll post all continuing photos or videos. And I'm not going to share any images from those wrecks, from those fatalities. Behind me on the wall, if you can see that, that's some of my sports photography that I did as a photojournalist. Um, but I'm not really going to share my images on this channel. I'm just going to share the stories. And if you have, like I said, if you have any questions you want to ask me about my career or how I got into it, what I had to do to get into it, um, you want to ask me about my gear, um, at the level, at the first newspaper that I started, the Series Courier, my camera body was a Canon AE1 program with an auto winder. It was a good little starter camera. I had a Vivitar flash for it, and it did the job. But over the years, as I kept growing my skills, I kept improving on my equipment. The last camera I used on the newspaper before I left photojournalism, um, I got up to a Nikon F3 HP press model, and then I went to when I got rid of that, to a first autofocus Nikon body. The first and last camera I used as a photojournalist was a uh, Nikon N70. I wanted the N90, but it was a little pricey for me at the time, so I got the N70, and that was a good camera. Um, I had a Nikon flash with it as well, so it was all synced. It had a good motor drive built in, autofocus. I got a few autofocus lenses. Everything I shot with was always were fast lenses. The lenses I used with the F3 HP, the manual focus lenses were Nikon glass. Um, I had a 24 to 70 f2.8. I had a 70 to 200, and that was an f2.8. And then I had a fisheye lens too, all Nikon. But yeah, so if you have any questions, any of my gear, um, or if you have questions about, if you're a budding photographer, you're just starting out in photography and you want to ask me some questions or tips or tricks, um, I won't be sharing them right away on this channel. Down the road, I want to go to a second day, and on the second day, I want to episode. I want to do two. I want to get to the point where I'm doing 2 episodes a week. One episode talking about my career, and one episode sharing tips and tricks and hacks in photography. But that probably is a year out, at least. But if you want to ask me in comments, I will answer any questions on that as well. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching this first episode. Um, I strongly hope you subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you won't miss any new episodes. And everyone be safe out there. And we'll see you next episode. All right. Thanks, everyone.